Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going deep on a couple cryptid encounters you guys sent
Oh,
us.
nice.
Yeah, these aren't just kind of vague legends. We're talking like full-on stories with, real details and lasting impacts on the people involved.
That's what I love about these stories, right? Like, these aren't just like, oh, I saw something spooky out in the woods. Like, these people's lives were changed forever because of these encounters.
Exactly. And what's really fascinating to me is that both of these encounters take place in like these swampy, isolated
Oh,
areas.
yeah, that adds a whole other layer to
No,
it.
totally. It's like the setting itself is already kind of creepy, and then you add in these, large, mysterious creatures, and it's like, oh man.
It's like prime cryptid territory, right? Swamps, they just have that vibe.
For sure. Okay, so our first stop is rural Arkansas in 1971.
Okay.
So picture this, a family staying in this remote house surrounded by woods and swampland. It's like straight out of horror movie.
Oh, yeah, I can already see it.
Right.
Yeah,
And to make things even creepier, this area already had its own legend, the Fook monster.
right. A large ape-like creature said to roam the area.
Exactly. So you can imagine like the family's already kind of on edge, right? Like they know about this creature that supposedly lurks in the shadows.
Oh, for sure. It's like that feeling you get when you're in a dark forest and you know you're not alone.
Totally. So the story centers around Elizabeth Ford, who is trying to get some sleep on the couch
Yeah.
with a window open above her.
Oh, no.
I know, right? Not the best idea in hindsight, but hey, it was hot, I guess.
Yeah.
So she's drifting off to sleep and she starts hearing this like creaking sound right outside the window.
Oh, that's creepy.
Right. And it's not like the wind or anything. It's like something is deliberately moving back and forth.
Okay, so she's like, wait a minute.
Exactly. She sits up, looks out the window, but doesn't see anything at first. So she like leans closer, gets right up to the screen.
So she can get a better look.
Yeah, and that's when things get really intense.
What happens?
This massive figure suddenly blocks the entire window.
Oh, no.
I know. And before Elizabeth can even react, this thing swipes at the screen with this like reddish brown furry paw.
What claws?
Oh yeah, it like slices through the screen with these razor sharp claws, barely missing her face.
That's terrifying,
Right. And what's interesting is that many Fook monster accounts specifically mention claws.
which is unusual for black bears.
Exactly. It makes you wonder if this was just like misidentification in the heat of the moment or something truly unknown.
It's like, is it a bear or is it something else entirely?
Right. Okay, so Elizabeth screams her head off, and the creature vanishes into the darkness.
Of course.
Her husband, Bobby, and his brother grab shotguns and flashlights and run outside to search for the bear, as Elizabeth calls it.
That's a natural reaction, right?
Right.
Especially with the Fouquet monster legend already in their mind.
Exactly. But here's the thing. They find absolutely no trace of the creature.
No tracks, no signs of a
Oh.
struggle.
It's like it just vanished into thin air.
So we have an attack, a terrifying creature, but no clear culprit.
It's like a ghost story almost.
Right. But there's more to this story, right?
Yeah.
Like, what about those footprints you mentioned?
Oh, yeah. The footprints they eventually find, they're not bear tracks at all.
What are they?
They suggest a bipedal creature, three-toed, with three long claws.
It's free-toed.
Yeah, which is exactly what Bobby's brother describes seeing later that night.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. Tell me more.
Okay, but first, let's rewind back to the search.
Okay,
So the brothers are out there convinced that whatever attacked Elizabeth is still out there.
makes sense. They're not taking any chances.
Right. They decide to split up and guard the house until sunrise.
Smart move, especially in that environment.
So Bobby's standing watch when he gets hit with this like overwhelming stench.
Oh, God.
He describes it as a wet, decaying animal smell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty nasty. And as he's shining his flashlight around trying to find the source of the smell,
He sees it.
a massive dark figure charging straight at him.
The creature returns.
Yes. And this time, Bobby's ready. He instantly raises his shotgun and fires.
Did he hit it?
He hears a yelp, but when they rush to the spot, nothing. It's gone again.
It vanished again.
Yep. And then they hear their wives screaming from inside the house.
Oh, no. This creature's not only aggressive, but, like, incredibly elusive, too.
Right. It makes you wonder, did it target the house specifically, or was it just reacting to their presence in its territory?
It's like, what was its motive?
Yeah, it's a total mystery. So
Mhm.
as they're running back to the house, Bobby gets hit with that awful stench again.
Oh, no, not the smell.
And just as he steps onto the porch, his brother yells at him to stop. But it's too late.
Why? What happens?
The creature is waiting for them on the porch.
Oh, my God.
Bobby's knocked to the ground, pinned beneath this massive thing.
He's trapped.
Yeah, he manages to break free and dive into the house, slamming the door shut.
So close.
His brother's left outside on the porch facing this thing.
This is insane.
Right. A gunshot rings out, then silence the door creaks open, and Bobby's brother walks in looking completely shaken.
Did he get it?
Bobby asks, "Is the bear dead?" And his brother just shakes his head and says, "No, and that wasn't a bear."
What? So if it wasn't a bear, then what was it?
That's the million-dollar question. When the sun rises, they go outside to investigate, and of course the creature has vanished, leaving no trace except for those strange footprints surrounding the house.
The three-toed ones.
The very same. And what Bobby's brother saw on the porch perfectly matches those bizarre footprints.
So it really was walking upright on two legs.
It had 3 toes on each foot and 3 long claws on its hands, and the tracks were huge.
Way too big for a bear.
Right. And here's where it gets even creepier. The creature Bobby's brother saw was large, hairy, and ape-like, walking on 2 legs.
Just like the Fook monster.
Exactly. And get this, some accounts of the Fuke monster mention glowing red eyes.
And Bobby's brother saw red eyes too.
He says that's exactly what he saw during that encounter on the porch.
So we have a real-life encounter that seems to match up with this long-standing legend.
And physical evidence that defies easy explanation.
It's a puzzle for sure.
It really is. And you know what's even more interesting? Our next story takes place thousands of miles away, decades later.
Oh, wow.
But there are some striking similarities.
I'm already hooked. Let's hear it. It's like this intelligence you described that really makes the Beast of Limpopo different from your average animal encounter.
Yeah, it's not just about size and strength. It's like there's something more there, you know?
Real sense of awareness.
Exactly. It makes you wonder if there's more to these creatures than we realize.
Right. Like, what if we're just scratching the surface of what's really out there?
So what happened after the attack? Did they, like, try to fight back or something?
Well, according to what you sent me, Fraser's mom is like, snap out of it, and they all run back inside their houses.
Of course.
The creature doesn't follow them, but it just, like, watches them from the edge of the woods.
With those creepy eyes?
Yeah, just staring them down.
That's so freaky. Did they call the police?
They did, but the police wouldn't come out for a dog attack.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So they're stuck inside their houses, terrified, and the cops won't even help.
Basically, yeah, it's a pretty helpless feeling, I imagine.
No kidding. And the creature just hangs out there watching them for hours?
It's like it's toying with them, you know.
Adding insult to injury.
For sure, like a psychological torture almost.
Yeah, and then in the morning, poof, gone.
Vanished without a trace.
Just like the Fuke monster.
Yep. Classic cryptid behavior.
It's so frustrating. You have these terrifying encounters, sometimes physical evidence, and then the creature just disappears.
It's like they're teasing us.
Right. Like, come on, give us something to work with here.
And for Fraser's village, this is like the last straw. They're convinced this isn't just some normal animal.
They think it's something supernatural.
Exactly. Like a demon or something.
I can see why they'd think that. I mean, they've been terrorized. The authorities are useless, and this creature is, like, defying the laws of nature.
It's like their whole world has been turned upside down.
Yeah. So what do they do? How do you fight something like that?
Well, the village elders decide to take matters into their own hands. A few days after the attack, they head up the mountain where that forest fire is still going strong.
The one Fraser saw on his way home. You said that would be important.
Right. They believe the beast came down from that burning mountain.
Makes sense, like it was driven out by the fire.
Exactly. And remember the wheezing sound Fraser heard?
Yeah, like the creature was having trouble breathing.
Could be lung damage from all the smoke.
Oh, wow. The pieces are starting to fit together.
Right. It's like a puzzle.
So what happens on the mountain? Do they actually encounter the beast?
Not quite. They spend 2 days up there performing rituals and stuff.
Like trying to appease the spirits.
Exactly. They figure they need to make things right with the ancestors to stop the beast.
Interesting. So it's like a mix of traditional beliefs and real-world fear.
Yeah, it shows how deeply connected they are to their culture and the land.
So do their rituals work? Does the beast stop attacking?
When they come back to the village, they're like, all right, we talked to the ancestors. The beast is done terrorizing you guys. And the attacks stopped just like that. The beast is never seen again.
Wow, so they find peace in their own way.
Yeah, even though we may never know for sure what the beast was or where it went.
It's a reminder that sometimes the answers we're looking for aren't always scientific.
Right, sometimes it's about faith and tradition and the things that give us comfort.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've got these 2 encounters, the Fuke monster and the Beast of Limpopo, both super creepy, both super mysterious.
Both in swampy areas.
Oh, yeah, good point. But there's another connection here, something you mentioned in your notes that I think is really important.
They're talking about the conservation angle.
Bingo. You said that sometimes these cryptids, these mysterious creatures, can actually be good for conservation.
Sounds crazy, but it's true.
I'm all ears. It's wild, right? Like these creatures that we think of as monsters can actually inspire us to protect nature.
It's like a weird paradox,
Yeah.
you know? But it makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah, totally. So, how do we go from being scared of cryptids to wanting to save their habitats?
Well, I think a big part of it is the stories we tell about them.
Okay.
Like, think about it. Humans have always been fascinated by stories.
Oh, for sure. Stories are how we make sense of the world.
Right. And those stories, especially the ones about nature, they often have these hidden lessons about, like, the balance of life and the importance of respecting the environment.
It's like those stories give us a way to connect with the natural world, even if it's through fear or mystery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And in a way, those stories are even more important now,
Yeah,
you know, with so many people living in cities and stuff.
totally. Like we need those reminders that there's still wild places out there.
Yeah. We need those stories to, like, reawaken that sense of wonder that we all have inside.
So, how do we use those stories to get people excited about conservation?
Well, I think it starts with recognizing how powerful storytelling is.
Okay.
We're hardwired for stories, right? Like, from the time we're kids, we love hearing stories.
Oh, yeah. It's how we learn and grow.
And when it comes to nature, those stories can be, like, super effective for getting people to care.
You mean like instead of just focusing on the scary parts of cryptids, we can also talk about how they represent the wild and all that?
Exactly. We can tell stories that celebrate nature, stories that make people want to protect those places.
I like that. So, it's not about getting rid of the mystery, it's about using it to inspire people.
Exactly. And, sometimes that search for cryptids can actually lead to real scientific discoveries.
Oh, really? Like what?
Well, have you ever heard of the okapi?
Can't say I have.
It's this animal that lives in Africa, and for a long time people thought it was just a myth.
A mythical creature.
Yeah. They described it as like a cross between a zebra and a giraffe.
A zebra giraffe. That's crazy.
I know, right? But eventually they found it and realized it was a real animal.
So it went from cryptid to like a legit animal.
Yep. And that discovery helped protect its habitat in the Congo Basin.
Wow. So sometimes these myths can lead to real conservation wins?
They can. And there are other examples too, like the search for Bigfoot has led to the discovery of new plants and animals in the Pacific Northwest.
So even if they don't find Bigfoot, they're still making cool discoveries.
Exactly. And sometimes the search for cryptids can even lead to the creation of protected areas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like in Scotland, the mystery of the Loch Ness Monster has helped protect the lake and its surroundings.
So even if Nessie doesn't exist, the legend itself has done some good.
Right. It's like the story is more important than the creature itself sometimes.
Man, this has been an awesome deep dive. We started with these scary encounters, and now we're talking about the power of stories and how they can help us protect nature.
It's all connected.
It really is. So, as we wrap up this episode, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. What if, instead of being afraid of cryptids, we embraced the mystery?
What if we saw them as like neighbors on this planet,
Mm,
sharing this journey together?
that's a beautiful way to put it. It's like a shift in perspective from fear to curiosity.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe if we open our minds to the unknown, we'll find that the world is even more amazing than we thought.
Well said. Thanks for joining us, everyone, for this deep dive into cryptids and conservation.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
We hope you learned something new and maybe even feel inspired to explore the world around you with a little more wonder.
And remember, there's still so much out there to discover, so keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep that sense of curiosity alive.
Until next time, happy cryptid hunting.